Hi everyone, I'm Nathan. I go by Peteparker, and every week I do comic book reviews because that's the rule around my house. If I want to keep buying them, then I have to review them online. So this review is going to be about a Red Skull Incarnate #1, which I didn't really realize that was going to be the title. I've been seeing these covers for a long time. Thought it was kind of interesting and a little bit of movie propaganda-ish to have a whole series, a whole mini-series dedicated to the Red Skull, who I'm not really a huge fan of anyway. But then I flipped through this, and there's a lot of old-timey, passive kind of art. There isn't a lot of huge action going on here, and there certainly isn't a lot of superhero action going on here. So I thought it was really interesting, and I thought, what the heck, I'll get a shot on it. This is written by Greg Pak and drawn by Mirko Kolak, and I have to say that I am extremely happy that I gave this a shot. It's not a typical superhero comic book, which is really interesting about the situation. And the afterword in the back here, written by Mr. Pak, makes the entire series all that much better because it puts it into the perfect perspective of understanding what they're trying to do with this and what this means. The story itself was a little bit confusing prior to understanding what their intentions were, and it was also a little difficult to keep track of who Johann Schmidt was in here and who the other people are. But in the end, I was like, okay, well, that's an interesting story. I don't really see how he's become super evil yet, but you can kind of see how he's starting down this path a little bit. And you really have to read the afterword to really see what they're trying to achieve here. This is much like Magneto's Testament, or the Magneto Testament, or whatever, that told the story of Magneto as a boy, how he became who he became. That gave away a lot of the history and background of that character too. And this is kind of doing the same thing with a different person. I think the most difficult part of this story is imagining that this kid is going to eventually be this comical, skull-faced, ultimate evil bad guy who wants to use the cosmic cube to destroy Captain America all the time. And maybe that's just because he's relatable, like a real person, a real normal-looking, everyday person. That's him right there. And you kind of understand where he's coming from. Now, at the same time, he makes some life choices in here that are kind of interesting. The way he talks about his history, the way the paths that he chooses are not necessarily the same kind of words or paths that any normal or, relatively normal person would pick. So it kind of leads you to believe that there's something different about this kid also. But it's really kind of much more rich and in-depth than I originally read it as. And after reading the afterword in the beginning, going back and reading it again, I got a lot more of the depth and I got a lot better understanding of what all this means. So, that being said, if you do buy this book, and I do recommend it so far, I don't know what the rest of the series is really going to be like. You got another 4 issues, but if Magneto Testament was really good, and this is probably going to be like that, maybe even better. So if you do get this, go ahead and read it first, and then read the afterword, and then read it again. Normally I'd say just read the afterword and then read it, but discovering all of these intricacies in the story and all of the intentions behind each scene and the choices and the words that Johann is making, after you know what the meaning really is much more interesting than just having that in mind first and going through it. So this is very good. I wouldn't call it great yet, out of fear that it's going to get really bad after this. But I really definitely think it's a very strong 4 out of 5 and a possible 5 out of 5. The art is great for what it is. There's not a ton of real action, but the rereadability in this book alone is incredible. Once you really know what the point is and you read it again, it's really great, which is amazing. You wouldn't think that from this, very superhero-esque, stylized cover, but that's what it is. So I'll probably give it a 5 out of 5. And that's it. So if you want to check out the rest of my reviews, look for Spidey207 on YouTube or Peteparker elsewhere. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later.